Hey, it's Sean Shapiro, here we go. Knows the road rules better than most folks know. Ask your questions, bring the heat or keep it chill. He's got the answers and a license to spill. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you want to hear. Badge, now a podcast star, navigating traffic laws near and far. Stop sign confusions or a signal light feud. Sean's the one to give you the right attitude. Yeah, ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you want to hear. From this man. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's Tuesday. No, it's not Wednesday. I know. It's still taking some time for me to get used to this little bit of a switch here. Yeah, we are going live on Tuesdays now at 10 a.m. Used to be 9 p.m., but I've done the reverso thing, and now I'm live at night on Wednesdays. I think it's a good change. You let me know what you think in the comments. My name is Sean Shapiro. I am a former police officer. Oh, let's screw this up. Everybody, what's going on? Mute that. Mute. It's mute. Come on. No, mute. I know. I'd still. It's not working. I wanted to put a second screen up for the chat on another window, and of course, it was streaming the audio. I don't want any of that. Yeah. So if you can. Totally distracted myself. Squirrel. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I want to answer your traffic and police questions right here, right now. If you got them, I might even have answers to them. So with that, I've got tons of stuff I want to talk about. And, I didn't even talk about the fact that I want to talk about this. So today we're going live on a few other platforms, which I think is awesome, like Kick. And I see a message coming in from Kick, but I think it's a bot. Anyway, it's great to see them. Good morning, everyone. That's from Tian. And then Brandon jumped in with good morning, Sean and all from Orlando, Florida. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Going to NASA with the Mustang, the RTR. Oh, is this RTR? Tell me more. This isn't the Dark Horse. This is the one you're demoing, right? I want to know more. I want to see pictures too. If you're on a different platform, please jump up and say, hey, I will be seeing the magic of the, where is this? Where's the, hang on a second. Did I set this up yet? TikTok. Hang on. I need to set up the TikTok viewer. I wonder, why am I not seeing TikTok comments? Because I haven't pressed the button. The Live Center is open. And now I should see the messages. There we go. Okay. We have a message. Has a message, and that's good. We're seeing you there. I don't know your name because your name is a period, but we'll go there. Chief Chris Gironda, how you doing, Chief? Oh, Chef, not Chief. Chef, how you doing, Chef? I see Chief. I see Chief everywhere, right? It's a police thing, former or otherwise. I always see rank, and I guess Chef is a rank. Okay, stand by, and we see Julie Massey who says good morning. Good morning to you. I just want to get the appropriate window up. Everything here is, there we go. Chat window. There we go. See, now I can put these things on screen. And it's, okay, I've got to change the design. Design got updated, but I want it to be the one that actually, do I like that one? It was nice and blue before. Well, that's good. I like that one. Or this one? What's better? Tell me in the comments what's better. That's pretty good. It's funky. We'll keep on. We'll try this for a little while. Anyways, we have the good morning from Jen. We have Julie's good morning. And I have the magic of automation back in action, which says, please start your question with the letter Q so I can easily identify it as a question rather than general chat conversation. That's something that used to come up, and I stopped doing it, but I need to do it again because very often we have some very lively conversations in the chat, and then I don't know who's talking to who. Okay. Since we're currently on Twitch, or at least we're supposed to be on Twitch, let's test the Twitch channel to make sure we're live. Well, maybe just take for granted that it's actually here. Stream Manager, it's live. I see myself. It's working, which is good. Cool. It's been a long time since I've streamed on Twitch, I think. And then the other one is Kick. Let's make sure Kick is working. Of course, I don't even have it loaded onto this machine. I got a new phone. I picked up an iPhone 17 Pro Max. I've been waiting for one for quite some time, and it hadn't shipped. And I walked into an Apple store and said, hey, have you got them in stock? And they said, yeah, would you like one? I said, yeah. And then I gave them my credit card, and lo and behold, I have an iPhone now. I was on a 14. 14 was still awesome, but I needed stuff and things that it wasn't doing, like speed. I needed it to go faster. Yes. Before we go too far into the mix, I want to thank the fine folks at Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. They are the magical people who help contribute to paying for all this fancy stuff. And I say fancy stuff, it costs money to keep the show going. We are part of the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, Inc. It's a not-for-profit I created when I left the police. And Diamond and Diamond said, we want to be part of that because we believe in what you do, and I appreciate them for that. So if you need a personal injury lawyer, they're the biggest in Canada. They're a big firm. They do stuff and things. Last week we were on with Jerry Agar on Tuesday. He's not here today. We'll miss him, but we'll survive. Okay. And Brandon just jumped back with an explanation as to what the RTR is that he's driving. Says it's I assume there's supposed to be an "ith" at the end of the "it." It's the Mustang built by Formula Drifter Vaughn Getting. That's his name, I guess. Vaughn Getting Jr. It stands for Ready to Rock. So I'm falling in love with it, and it's manual. How many vehicles are still manual? That is the question. It seems to be a dying art, shifting and clutching and doing all that jazz. I drive stick, or at least I know how to. And if you look at my friend Brian Max, his whole theme is save the manuals. He's got tons of merch on his store for save the manuals. The concept is, if you don't buy them, they're going to go away. So buy his merch and go buy a stick shift vehicle, because it's right there, built in anti-theft or theft protection, because ain't nobody know how to drive them no more. It's a thing for realsies. We got the question that came in originally from TikTok was, if you aren't supposed to drink and drive, why do I need a license to buy alcohol? Ooh. These are the questions of questions. Hey, if you're watching on TikTok, please hit the screen repeatedly until your fingers go numb. It really helps the show. It allows the platform to know that we're worthy of watching, brings more people to the party. It also ensures we get questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, which is the whole concept of the show. Now, something I want to discuss. Of course, somebody would call me while I'm otherwise occupied, but I'm getting a call that I'm not going to answer. Sorry. The people I know, people I love, all call at 10 o'clock when the live stream goes live. I guess psychologically or psychically, they're connected to my live streaming events, and they know that that's when I'm least interested in answering the phone, so they call me then. Like cats, they find the one person in the room that nobody wants to talk to or doesn't want to talk to them, and then they go and say, hey, look at me, I'm a cat. Okay. We got Andy, who says, is it true that municipal speed cameras are full of copper? Keep hearing that said. Copper like a police copper, or copper the metal? If it's, you think that's why they're being cut down? I don't know. I've not heard of anything like that. I'm sure that's more or less intended as a joke that fell flat for me. But if it wasn't a joke and you just want to know if they were filled, I can't imagine them being filled with copper, if you were legitimately asking that question. Aether Ghosts is sharing his preference sexually online. I don't know why he wants to tell us this, but he's reposting it. I guess we could. It's not appropriate, but you feel you be you, man. Do what you want to do. Okay. We have Ipsic Girl, Goal Crusher, joined. IPSC is the International Pistol Shooting Confederation, or sorry, International Practical Shooting Confederation. I used to be a member. I'm not current. I have not been playing Pew Pew recently, but they joined. Welcome. We've got Gordon Driving School. How you doing? We've got a whole bunch of folks in there. The Real Walker Texas Ranger joined. How you doing? And he drops a question. He said, "Oh, it was him. Why do you need a license to buy alcohol?" Actually, you don't need a license to buy alcohol, and so it wasn't his question. So the original question was, "Why do you need a license to buy alcohol?" Well, you don't. You need to be of age to buy alcohol. So thank you for bringing that up, even though the original one was meant, I'm sure, to be humorous. Humorous. Merkali or Mir Khalid says, "How do you know the person crossing the road is a Canadian or recently what?" Yeah, no, I don't. If that's supposed to be a joke, we'll just skip it. All right, let's move on. Melody, how you doing? Hello with a wave. Barber Baller says, "I got pulled over. I had to go. What is this? I got pulled over and I had to go breathalyzer test, and there was zero alcohol in a roadside test." I'm not sure I'm picking up what you're putting down. Are you saying you got pulled over and you provided a roadside screening device test and it was zero, or you were arrested, taken to the police station to perform a breathalyzer through an approved instrument, and there was zero as a result, and you would have preferred that they did a roadside screening device test? Please tell me more, Barbara. They down a little longer that later they said, "My license and charged me with empire driving." I guess you mean impaired driving. I complained against them and they said I was right. And they never gave back my license. Sorry, hang on. Let's go back. You got charged with impaired driving, with a zero blood alcohol content. Did they allege that you were impaired by drugs? Because you would have a zero blood alcohol content if you were impaired by drugs. And you can be impaired without having an over 80. So it's against the law to drive with 80 or more, reading over 80 or more in your blood alcohol content, 0.08. But did they say you were impaired anyway? Because you may have been driving all over the road, which would have supported impaired operation, even though if your blood alcohol content wasn't over the legal limit. Two separate charges. Let's see here. I'm seeing the hate. Let's see. Let's read that. It's always fun to read those. We have Built Mustang 20. Probably only reason Built Mustang hasn't been stolen. Safety device being it's a 6-speed. Yes, I imagine so. Xenoblade Enjoyer wants to know if I like bacon. Doesn't everybody like bacon? Owen says, I doubt it. That's an interesting conversation for two people to have about whether or not I like bacon. I like that people make cop comments about bacon. Cops, cannibals eating their own. It's not funny, but it's not also offensive because I get it, but that's very 12-year-old. Okay. I'm just scrolling to see if I missed anything on Instagram. By the way, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you've got questions about driving law, safety, or police stuff in general, this is the place to ask it. I talk about it all the time. If you want answers, I got them. Usually. If not, we look them up. Charles West 375 on TikTok does not like the police and says so in their comment, which we'll move on and not read. Daniel Boyer 799 says, here's one for you, and tractor being driven for weeks with air tanks half full of water. Maybe there was something before. Unknown. Okay, we'll come back to you there, Daryl. So if I called you Daniel, I apologize. It's Daryl. We've got Unknown who says, hey, I have questions regarding hiring process. I graduated from OPC, but I did not finish probation. So okay. Ask your questions about hiring process as much as I can give you or that I know. you might want to just email me at voiceovercop@gmail.com. But I'm happy to chat with you about stuff and things. But they have questions about the hiring process. And I might have an answer, I might not. Okay. That I don't know where to put a space in this name. We'll just go with the question. Do police officers have to inform the registered owner of the vehicle when it's impaired? Impaired or impounded? Impounded, yes. Impaired? The vehicle is rarely impaired. The driver of the vehicle could be impaired. And if the vehicle is impounded, then yes, they have to inform the registered owner that it was impounded. But it's part of the process, because if you are not the owner, there's a problem if we just take your car, put it away, and never tell them. But let me know more about what you're asking, because I'd like to. That sounds like an interesting story. If you're watching on TikTok, please tap the screen so your fingers go numb. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and I answer questions live for at least an hour when I go live. Today we're doing it from 10 to 11. Tomorrow I'll be doing it from 9 till 10 or 11 tomorrow night, because nighttime gets interesting. Yes. Let's see here. Lucifer 666. Interesting choice of numbers and names. I am able to put a temp flatbed on my truck for personal use, moving my ATV and snowmobile. A temporary flatbed on what kind of truck? Are you, let's talk about this. Are you a pickup truck? You're going to take the bed off, put a flat, I mean, you want to know if you can temporarily do it. I don't know what kind of vehicle you have, how you're going to secure it. I can't answer you really without knowing a lot more. And even then, we'll talk about it. Okay, let's see here. Oh, Daryl says the new drivers had no clue how to check the air tanks that were only half full. That's not good. So I'm assuming you're talking about the air tanks being for air brakes, and the people who were using those air brakes were not qualified to operate them, or were just noobs who didn't know nothing about stuff and things. Dusty today says it's offensive to cannibals. Oh, the bacon comment. Got it. I feel a lot of seniors are impaired by medications. Any insight? Anyone, medicated seniors, not seniors, like people who are medicated using prescription drugs, can absolutely be impaired by drugs or alcohol. If you are not capable of driving safely, that's a problem. You can't operate a motor vehicle, whether it's prescription or not. There's no clear license to do whatever you want just because the doctor said you need it. Some people can't drive anymore because of the medications that they're prescribed. It just makes it unsafe. Some conditions make it not okay. We got, let's see here. Brandon has to go early. Hope you all have an awesome day is his message. And Droner Wayne says, good morning. Awesome. And then on Instagram, Texas Walker Ranger says, do you know the justification of requiring the OACP certificate prior to submitting an app for policing? It seems like something you'd only need once you get through screening interviews. So, I mean, it might be a little backwards now, but way back when I started getting involved, there was testing done by police services. Each police service would do its own testing. They centralized that testing process to make it where if you get your certificate, you can apply to any service. Even though once you applied to one service, they got like offended if you went to another service. But that's another story. What they did is they centralized it so one standard testing process, and then you went with a full package to the police service. Now things have gone back and forth. Excuse me, but the deal is that the principle's still there. You get certified first. Now, some police services have gone back and started performing the tests again. You should, like in the States, my cousin went to the police college. He actually took the entire police college, graduated with a certificate like at OPC level, and then applied to police services. He had to pay his own ticket. In Ontario, the province pays for your police college once you're hired. It's all over the place, but yeah, I don't know what's right, what's wrong when it comes to that. Let's go on. Droner Wins coming in from YouTube. Gotcha. Oh, Nicholas Rizzi says, what is a story in your career where you felt so proud of yourself you'd say, this is why I do this. This is why I'm a police officer. I got tons of those. I mean, one of my favorite, if I can find the photo, I'll share it. But there's no really good one. How will I share it? I'm going to see if I can find it in my photo album. But there was a great story. At least I think it's a great story. I was riding, doing enforcement, doing something on my police motorcycle because I was a motor squad member, and I came across a lemonade stand, and I stopped and bought a lemonade from the kiddo who was selling lemonade, and it was just the best feeling, like the ability to just be out like and interact with humans that were doing good things and living life, and we were able to be. And it was a feel good moment. And no, I didn't become a police officer so I can buy lemonade, but man, did that make a difference in that child's life. It made a difference in mine because I still talk about it. Let's see here, motorcycle. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't find it I have 2,000 pictures of motorcycle stuff. Um, Motorbike. Say kid. Can I find it by doing that? It might not. But I used to go to all sorts of events, and it was just an all around bit of awesomeness. Doesn't look like I can find the photo. I quickly scanned through 2,000 photos. Yeah. Anyway, I will find that and post it while blurring out their faces because as much as I love the fact that it happened, I'm sure they don't want to be online, you know, in front of their house to out them. What do we got here? Mark, who says, I feel a lot of no, we just talked about that. That was the seniors being drugged seniors. What are the rules with mud flaps on lifted trucks and underglow light colors? So trucks have to cover, any vehicle has to cover their tire by fender or what's it called? Fender flare. It has to be covered. If it extends beyond the body, it's not a legal tire. It's not set up right. And then, whatever's not covered by rear of the vehicle behind the tire has to be protected by a mud flap. You can't be sending dirt and debris up to the vehicles behind you. This is a problem. So you gotta cover your tires. I don't offhand know the measurements, but it essentially, if you're throwing up stuff and it's not being stopped by the fender flare and or rear of the vehicle, because the tires could be right at the back, like figure a bobtail, you got to put mud flaps on. And many vehicles do this because they need to. And other people do it because it's the nice thing to do. I was watching a video on one of the Lamborghinis. I don't remember which model, but they were basically saying they cracked 3 windshields of the chase vehicle that they were using for filming because the Ventador or something is just a launcher for rocks because of the way that the rear is designed. It was interesting. I found it interesting. We got BJ who says, sitting at a train crossing, parked but technically on the road, is it illegal to use your phone? Yeah, technically it's illegal. You have to be somewhere where you can legally park. Period. If it's place that you can park and leave your vehicle without it getting towed or ticketed for no parking, then it's legal. So if you were to pull on Yonge Street and there was a parking spot and it was not in a tow-away zone, because if it was no stopping between certain times and you pulled over to use your phone, parked yes, or in park yes, but not legally parked, thus you'd still be eligible for a ticket. I know, not going to happen, but it's still an eligibility situation. So it has to be legally parked. Train, railway crossing, not legal. You're supposed to be paying attention. And I'll tell you, there's been a lot of situations where if I didn't leave the appropriate amount of space in front of my vehicle, when the vehicle behind me that was on their phone while they were driving didn't realize that all traffic had stopped to wait for a train, we would have met in the middle because I had to roll forward to give them that little extra space to make the stop because otherwise they would have rammed into the back. Lots of fun, right? Okay. Decepticons Forever says, Sean, I had a heck of a time coming in, but I sent you the post about the MTO vehicle. Did you see it? Was that the one with the ball tires? I think I did see it. Decepticons Forever sent me a message, or at least somebody sent me a message, and I think this is the one that Decepticons Forever was talking about. And it was a subdued MTO vehicle. Now, MTO, Ministry of Transportation officers enforce issues with vehicles, and this one had improper tires. Yeah, so not a good thing. Let's scroll back. Oh, so the question earlier was what when you impound a vehicle and you don't notify the owner, the tow company will notify the owner. It's not the officer that will call them up. It's the tow company that's going to notify them. I've never have I called that? It's been a long time ago since I've done it. It's got to be done at some point, but whether it's the tow company's definitely going to do it. Hey, we have your vehicle. I wonder if it's the owner. Anyway, what happens if they don't? It's going to happen eventually because if it never happens, and then they sell your car, it's a problem. So there is a like in Toronto, there's a unit that goes in and checks to make sure that everyone gets notified. So I've never been involved with those checks, but they exist. So there's a checks and balances system, and it should be taking place. And what happens if it doesn't? Eh, bad things, I imagine, and someone's going to get in trouble. Okay. We got if I touch the touch screen of my vehicle, is that distracted driving? No, but it could be careless driving. So, okay, simply touching your touch screen isn't an issue. In fact, you can touch your phone for the purposes of answering or hanging up a call as long as it's mounted. Now, a touch screen in your vehicle is part of the normal operation of your vehicle. It's not distracted driving, which requires you to either be interacting with your or using your handheld entertainment device, handheld communication device, or having a screen visible to the driver. That is the distracted driving laws in Ontario. Other platforms or other things could just be careless driving. And you got to go back to the origins of cell phone distracted driving laws. Originally, careless driving would have been the appropriate charge delay. It still is an appropriate charge delay, $495 if I'm not mistaken, and 6 demerit points. People said, "Hey, come on, no, we got to be nice about the new cell phone technology. People are addicted. Let's make it $125." So originally, cell phone charges were lower than careless driving charges because it was new, and then people didn't get it. So I think it went from 125 to 175, or maybe it went to 150 for a week in between. But it escalated, and eventually it was like, "Come on, guys, this is worse than impaired driving, like by drugs and alcohol. This is or as bad at very least." We need to raise that. And now it's $615 and comes with a suspension on conviction. It is now surpassed. Now there's still fewer demerit points than that of at least your initial charges are less than, but it's serious, and I think it's going to get more serious. Okay, we're scrolling back. Where did Barbara Baller said? This is the person that asked about losing their license because they were charged with impaired driving. So Barbara Baller says, I had no drugs or alcohol in my system, and they proved that by lab results. It's only the officers. I see. So they proved that you had no drugs or alcohol, but did you? So was your driving just really bad? And I like they charged you for impaired operation. What were they alleging? I can't. I don't know your case, but to lay a charge for impaired operation suggests there was something going on with your behavior that led them to believe you were impaired. And if they didn't, and you know, when you say you had no drugs or alcohol, how did they prove the lab results? Did they draw blood? Like, I don't know enough about your case to really say anything about it. Also, Barbara, I appreciate that Barbara sent a jack-o'-lantern gift. You are too kind. We are not for profit. At least the Better Traffic Safety and Education is not for profit. We try and change driver behavior through education. This show is part of that initiative. But there's so many things I'm doing. Also, involved with talking about stuff and things outside of this show. So, if you do choose to give a gift, know that it's going to the not for profit and not buying me coffee. Although we are on the Buy Me a Coffee app, and if you want to send a gift there, you can to the VoiceOver Cup account. Awesome. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. Hussein Malik wants to know if a cop doesn't show to court for a driving fine, is it an automatic withdrawal? Not automatic. They can actually put it over. So courts, if you go to York Region, my understanding is they will proceed on the information very often, which means they have the notes, they have everything, and they can proceed. It might lose it, but they can proceed. In the event that if you go to court in Toronto, you can ask to have it dismissed, but that doesn't mean it will be. They may choose to withdraw it just because they have an overloaded court system, and they may say, court officers not here, your charges are withdrawn. They can certainly do that as well. Very often what happens is the courts will be, the prosecutors will ask the courts and say, this officer for an emergency reason or what have you cannot attend court today. We would like to put this over for a serious matter. They will try and put it over for a minor. They might just dump it. So it's a crapshoot. It's absolutely a crapshoot. Let's see what else we got here. And just to let you know, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I am not a current serving, no longer employed by a police service. What I do now is the not-for-profit education realm of stuff and things. I do other stuff too, but I'm not a cop. That said, I didn't forget everything that I knew when I was a cop, and I share it here with you to try and help you out. Okay. Lucifer says, "Oh, F-150 pickup off for flatbed." I see what you're saying. Uh, Melody, who is a mechanic. So if you're wondering why she's answering, that's why she's a mechanic. She says, if you do the flatbed conversion done correctly, I mean, I assume legally, then there's no problem putting a flatbed on. And Mark says, I knew it, but I don't know what Mark is talking about. Mark, what did you? Oh, Mark was talking about seniors and being impaired. Cool. Lucifer says, nah, I was told they're cracking down on it for people removing the flatbed or putting flat. Okay, y'all have the conversation offline. I don't know. Chris Reynolds says, what are the rules with, we talked about that. Okay. Frank Tyblock, I think that's what we have here. Are speed cameras banned now? I don't believe that the is it C21 that they're proposing. I don't think it's passed yet, but the premier is certainly trying to get rid of it. I can't get over how many people have stood up after I yelled and screamed for a while in support of them. I'm a big fan of speed cameras. I think they should be on every road, everywhere. And many people don't like that because they believe that speed limits are too low. I had my oil change done recently, and my buddy did the oil change. We got into this conversation. He's like, "But speed limits are too low," and I'm like, oh, this conversation again. They're low in areas where they need to be low. They're higher in areas where they can be higher safely. And whatever the law says is what you should do. You shouldn't break the law ever, in my opinion. Actually, it's funny. Somebody tagged me there's a lawyer from Edmonton or somewhere that was talking about how, there's reasonable excuse for the law. And someone said, Sean Shapiro said you can never break the law. You shouldn't break the law. And if you break the law, know that you might be held accountable. So let's take, for example, if you take this pen, the little brass pen, I like it a lot. If someone was attacking me and I took this pen out of my pocket and I stuck it in their eyeball, I used a weapon. Is that legal? Do I care at the moment? Not really. Will I take my licks and if I get in trouble, if I get charged, if I get convicted, I'm here to talk about it. So I'd rather be tried than carried by 6. Was it tried by 12 than carried by 6? Yeah. You pick and choose your battles. Speeding, however, not something that you can justify unless you're police, fire, or ambulance, where you're legally permitted under certain circumstances. And everybody else doesn't have an excuse. If you got an emergency, you cut your finger, you have a baby, whatever, call an ambulance. That's the appropriate answer. Might you get away with it? Might someone say, I get it. I would do the same thing. I'm not going to charge you. Yeah, it's possible, but that doesn't mean there's an exemption in the law for it. It means the police officer says, I get it, and I'm going to be a nice guy and use my discretion. So, I don't know how I got into this. Okay, moving on. Oh. I don't know what this. Guy says something. Okay. And follow. Thanks for the follow. Okay. Ooh, just got an update. Lots of stuff. Guy says, if you drink 0% beer, can you still smell it on a driver? You smell what smells like fermented stuff, like it smells like alcoholic beverage, but there's no alcohol. You might get tested. And under the mandatory testing, what is it called? It's called, I can't believe I can't remember this now. Mandatory alcohol testing. Isn't that what it's called? Oh, surprise. Oh, come on. I lost a piece of terminology today. It's just, I haven't said it in a while and it's sticking to my head. Mandatory alcohol screening, MAS, mandatory alcohol screening. So Canada now has mandatory alcohol screening. So I don't even need suspicion. It used to be odor of alcoholic beverage or admission of consumption would be forming suspicion, which would allow a police officer to then make a demand for a screening device. Now you don't even need that. Doesn't matter what I smell. Doesn't matter if I smell. If I have a nose, if I pull you over for a lawful reason, I can demand a test, and that's all you need. So worst situation if you're drinking. First of all, I don't understand near beer or 0% beer. I'm not even sure I like the taste of beer. So doing it without the buzz to me is completely pointless. That's like decaffeinated coffee. Why? Do you like coffee? I mean, I like coffee now, but I used to think it tasted like crap. And I started drinking coffee solely because I became a cop and I needed to be able to stay up and I wanted caffeine. Well, you can get more caffeine in tea more often than not. So why would you try? But anyway, some people like beer. But yeah, if you smell it, there would definitely be justification for roadside testing. But would you be charged for over 80? Well, no, you'd never get over the legal limit by drinking 0% beer. Owen says, life pro tip. You can't get a DUI on an acoustic bicycle. Acoustic bicycle. I've never heard that. That is a new term. I like that. Owen. I like acoustic guitar, acoustic bicycle, no electrics. I'm we may have to make t-shirts. Yes. And then Owen says, also, I can't be a motorized skateboard. I argue with you on the motorized skateboard because the Criminal Code of Canada says that you can be charged for operating a motor. Well, it says a motor vehicle is anything that is powered by anything other than muscular power. If you're on a motorized skateboard, you are on something other than muscular power. Thus, I think you would be eligible for a conviction or at the very least charges for operating a electric powered skateboard under the influence of drugs or alcohol. In fact, you can do it on everything other than a wheelchair. A wheelchair, you're actually covered explicitly as a pedestrian. But a motorized mobility scooter, you're on a motor vehicle, my friend, at least according to the Criminal Code of Canada. Golf cart, Criminal Code of Canada says it's a motor vehicle. E-bike, Criminal Code of Canada says it's a motor vehicle. E-kick scooter, like everything else, why wouldn't a skateboard count? Now, acoustic bicycle, which I love. You can't get a DUI. You can get careless driving. You can be charged for careless operation on an e-bike. You can get public intox on a bicycle, I should say, on an acoustic bicycle. So you can still get charged even if the DUI doesn't classify it as a motor vehicle. It's still a vehicle. So, yeah. Greaves Farm says, I'm a visitor from the United States. If I get pulled over with my American license, will I be okay? Yes. And if as a Canadian traveling in America, I can drive with my Canadian license too. There's a reciprocal agreement. Now, I know there's been some Canadians who have been charged in the States for driving with a Canadian license, being told that they need an American license. Sadly, and I love my brothers and sisters in blue down south, but some people get it wrong. And you don't need an American license to drive in America, and you don't need a Canadian license to drive in Canada. So that's the thing. But I appreciate the question, brother. And if you have any more, feel free to reach out while you're here. Some things are different, but most things are the same. You can always get me at voiceovercop@gmail.com. You can also go to askatrafficcop.ca, which has links to the show, and you can go to the YouTube channel, which you can follow. And when you go to the YouTube channel, you can get hundreds of hours of previous shows, because I've done this for 5 years and I used to do it 5 days a week for at least an hour. That's a whole lot of hours. They do add up. And this is like episode 85 or 86 this year. So yeah, there's been a lot of shows. Dylan Friesen says, I think the photos from speed cameras were received within a I think if the photos from speed cameras were received within a day, they are reasonable, but I received one 2 years later. 2 years later, not acceptable. That should be beyond any kind of reasonable expectation. It's unreasonable at 2 years. It should be thrown out. If you received it a week, 2 weeks, a month, I still think it's good. I mean, even 2 months. What's wrong with being held accountable after the fact? I get it. And I'm going to use the analogy that I've used many times and probably upset many people about. But if you have a pet, namely a dog, and it pees in the rug, you usually stick its nose, not your nose in the pee, its nose in the pee, and say, don't do that. And usually there's an association built. You don't get that with a camera ticket a month later. However, when you get that, you should have the wherewithal as an adult driver, as a driver in general, to say, I done screwed up, and yeah, it was a month ago, but I should really slow down. Maybe this is an indicator. And it's just a financial impact. And people say, well, that's a cash grab. I'm like, it's a motivator. It is to dissuade you from breaking the law. That's it. If you don't want a ticket, don't speed. And that's all. And I have so many arguments with people. Like last night, I had a discussion with someone who said, what's with people high beaming me when I'm in the right lane doing the speed limit? So a friend of mine who was on his way to work, who does the speed limit because he's concerned about getting tickets by cameras, because cameras work, they motivate him not to speed. Thus, he does the speed limit, and people come up behind him going, flash, 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 flash. Get out of my way. You're going too slow, bozo. Well, they're the bozos. They might be nice people, but they're bozos when it comes to driving. NC Rider 72 says, this the Reddit guy? I don't know what you're talking about. I might be on Reddit. People might post my stuff there, but I'm not aware of a Reddit channel about me. If there is one, let me know. Nikki Arnold says, can someone in a live lane exit onto a ramp to skip ahead 10 or 20 cars? I see it every day. So there's nothing specifically illegal if they're staying on the roadway, if they're not doing dangerous maneuvers, if they're not causing any issues. So unsafe maneuver, unsafe lane change, that would be illegal because it was unsafe. But it's not specifically illegal to jump out and jump back in safely to move up 10 car lengths. It's an a-hole move because you're not doing anything except pissing everybody else off. But people do it all day long. Now, if you're driving over the bullnose, if you're driving over the painted lines that designate areas that are not lanes. So crossing a lane is generally not an offense because you're driving between two marked lanes. You're driving from one lane to another. But if you're driving onto the shoulder, you're off roadway. That's a ticket. If you're driving on the bullnose, that is not a lane nor a shoulder. It is an area of no permission to drive. That would be a charge. Yeah. Sean Berry, thanks for the follow. Cause the Light, thank you for the follow. Let's see what's going on. Crosswalks. How long do I need to wait for Granny to get out of the way? That's a lovely way to put it. Depends. A standard crosswalk at a signalized intersection, or even actually any intersection, you have to wait until you're no longer, sure, you have a responsibility to yield to them. Once they've passed you or safely passed your half of the roadway, I would say that is safe to continue, unless it's not an intersection and you are at a pedestrian crossover. In Ontario, we have pedestrian crossovers, which are independent of intersections. They have lighting and flashing lights and painted lines and all that jazz. And it says PEDX or ped across. Those require you to wait until everyone has left the roadway, not just your half, but completely left the roadway. And people get it wrong all the time. So, there's one other caveat. If you're at a intersection with a crossing guard holding up that stop stick lollipop, well, then you have to wait until everyone's off the road entirely, including the crossing guard. That's a thing. Okay. Bobby Wiki wants to know if a 2-year-old counts as a passenger for the HOV lane. Bobby, yes. Your 2-year-old is a human being, thus qualifies as a passenger. Dogs, cats, parakeets, no. Children, yes. That's why you had it. So you have a passenger, and that's why I had mine. Well, I asked my wife. No, I love my kids, but man, do I love them more when we're using the HOV. Allows us to get places. Like I tell them all the time, this is why I had you. Par 4 says non-alcoholic beer is like kissing your sister. Blah, that's a horrible analogy, but I do agree that it's what's the point? Ugh. I don't have a sister, but the very concept is disgusting. Okay. Owen, what is Owen saying? That's what I meant. Oh, it can't. Okay, Owen, gotcha. It was a typo. Owen supports the motorized skateboard is a motor vehicle under the Criminal Code of Canada. 2000 Sit says, hey, man, what's good? We're good here. I don't know. Just good. Owen, 2000 Sit is coming in from Kick. Now, we just started using Kick again. Kick, Twitch, and Rumble. Oh, actually, I'm really curious. Rumble doesn't get the how do I check Rumble? Did I put Rumble? I just want to check for the live streams actually going on Rumble. Stand by. I'm really curious because this is the first time ever streaming on Rumble. Is it working? No idea. I might actually have not have configured Rumble. I can't tell. Maybe I have to pay to get Rumble. Ad free viewing, but I want to know if I'm streaming on Rumble. I may not be authorized to stream on Rumble. Yeah. I don't know if we're actually working on Rumble, but I pressed the button, so it was supposed to work. This was actually a test. It was a real test. It was the best test. All right. Akila Jacona says they were. Where is it? He says he came in and here it is. Greetings and salutations. Sorry I'm late. Catching up at triple speed. Also getting his flight suit ready for Halloween at work. Halloween week, work week at work. Work week. Okay. With Split PX, you only have to wait for half crossing. Toronto still has 2 of those. A Split PX? What is a Split PX? Okay, we'll talk. I want to know more about Split PX because I'm only referring to pedestrian crossovers, but you say Split PX. Does that mean one that has an island in the middle with the metal railings? And is that what we're talking about? Okay, let me know. I'm interested. I like this stuff. Pilance says Tesla full self-driving. Discuss. I can totally discuss it. What do you want to say? What do you want to know? Is it autonomous operation level 3? No, it's not. It's like level 2 and a bit. You're still entirely responsible as the operator of such a beta software enabled vehicle. I will say I'm really impressed with it. I've used it. I've driven. I test drove a Tesla Cybertruck, and for the first thing I did was, how do I turn this thing on? And I drove for a while, and it did screw up a number of times, and I had to take over. But I was like, it's like being in a sci-fi movie. It's such a cool concept. I would love to see a day where I can do it was a Future Cop with Van Damme, where he gets into the car, cuddles up in the back seat, and says, "Take me home." And I want that. Drive me to Disney. I'm going to take a nap. I want that. Totally want that. It's not there yet. During Honda Indy in 2024, I think it was, I was driving to work, and of course, with all the road closures, Teslas were maybe not aware of the fact that the roads were closed for Honda Indy, and I watched cars just trying to figure out where to go and making these weird, steering move. Like, it was sad. That said, it's still freaking amazing, but it's not where it needs to be. It's not perfect. Okay. I love it. That's I got some friends who are not fans of the Tesla. I think they're pretty cool. And you know what I think is really cool that I didn't think I think is really cool, but I really think is really cool is the ID Buzz from Volkswagen. Yeah. It's cute and cool and weird. And I kind of want to buy one. I kind of want to make it the Ask a Traffic Cop wagon. It is huge inside. I can sit in any one of the 3 rows, even the farthest to the back, with ample legroom, like ridiculous amounts of legroom. Nowhere near the seat in front of me. That's how, and I'm a big dude. I'm 6'5", and I had 6 inches of room from the back, the 3rd row to the middle row. I've never been in a vehicle I fit as well. It's all electric with not such great range, but I'm tempted to buy one. And they're not selling well, so they've dropped the price. There's about a $21,000 promotion or benefit discount from the $80,000 vehicle, making it like $60,000. And it might even go lower than that because I've just read an article saying that they've quietly stopped making them, which could make them collectors. I don't know. Okay, Ian Brown says, question on a divided highway, what are the rules about the use of high beam lights on a divided highway? You can't interfere with the oncoming vehicles. I don't think there's a specific exemption for divided. Like if you were shining light at the other person, like it depends. Like if you're in a mountain highway where there's a forest in between east and west, I don't think you got a problem. But if you're shining light into the oncoming traffic, whether it's a cement barrier or not, you're shining light into that vehicle's windshield. So I would say no, you shouldn't do it. And I have to do some digging to confirm if there's any exemption, but I don't think there is. Oh, okay. The suit is on, and his meeting is. Oh, I've got your clip, brother. So Akela says He's absolutely got his flight suit on. By the way, if you look in the tiny itty bitty icon on the bottom left of the screen, that is a Kayla. That is actually him wearing the thing. Can I wonder if I can configure this really quickly. Hang on a second. We'll see if we totally screw this up. But I have a clip. This is me.
This is Kalich Cronus reminding you to stay safe, don't have a good day, have a great day. And may the
I love it. That's a Kayla. Halloween, awesome. Halloween's on Friday. We should probably talk about Halloween safety. That's the thing. You going out with the kids, going trick or treating? Wear some bright colors. Very often, bad things happen when people driving vehicles don't see people wearing costumes, and we don't want any of that. Enough tragedy in our lives. We don't need more. So, carry a flashlight. If you're gonna have a dark costume, carry a flashlight. Wear reflective jewelry, the plastic bracelets, something to help be seen. It's not a guarantee. It's to assist in being seen. If you're watching, you don't know who I am. Where have you been for the last 5 years? My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you want to know stuff before you do stuff so you don't get charged with stuff, you should really be following my channel. And you should follow on all the platforms that I'm on. But the one on YouTube, VoiceOver Cop on YouTube, really would help. We're trying to get to 1,000. We're really close. Please follow me on YouTube so we can get those numbers up. We want to get to 1,000 so we can actually get into the next tier of support and whatnot, be considered a partner. I did it with the Toronto Police. I'd like to do it here too. Okay. Is one able to say no to a field sobriety testing because you would prefer a breathalyzer? No. So you may prefer a breathalyzer, but if they don't have okay, let's break this down. First of all, a breathalyzer is not the same as a roadside screening device, is not the same thing as an intoxilizer, which is what is really the breathalyzer. So when a police officer suspects you have drugs or alcohol in your system, they may demand, it's not a request, it's a demand that you perform a roadside sobriety test. If you refuse, you're going to be charged with refuse, which has the same consequences as if you failed. If they have a device, because there's a time frame that they have to produce that device, if they have a roadside screening device, then they can say, here you go, demand that you do this. And if you say no, you get charged for refuse. Same consequences as if you had failed. It's actually easier to get a conviction. So don't threaten them with a good time. It's much less paperwork and much less difficult to get a conviction. My advice is don't drink and drive, and don't do any of that. Don't drug and drive, and don't drink and drive, and don't tired and drive, and don't cell phone and drive. Drive safely and focus on driving. That's the answer. But preferring a breathalyzer, no, there's no option. Jeffrey says, is it against the law for me to check my blood sugar with my phone while driving? Interesting. I've got to look for any medical exemption that would allow you to use that. I mean, ideally, I know a number of people who have iPhones that are linked to their blood monitoring devices. There are alerts that you can program, from my understanding, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is it should alert you if there's an issue, because it's constantly monitoring and communicating with those sensors. But I would also say depends. I'm going to look to see if there's an actual exemption, but even in the face of no exemption, if there was a medical emergency, could it be justified? I mean, ideally, you pull over to the side of the road and do it legally. That would be the ideal situation. But now you got me really curious. I don't recall ever seeing any kind of exemption for medical. Like for an emergency, calling 911 is an emergency. That's the emergency that it's intended for. You can call that. You can use it. But then there's a record to support it, right? Because you picked up the phone, you dialed 911. Now there's a phone record to support that you phoned it. A little more difficult to say, I'm checking my blood sugar. Okay. Mila says, if a cop doesn't see a person speeding but can hear how fast they're going, can they do a traffic stop? They can stop you based on whatever they think, but can they lay charges? Can they tell you that? Can they confirm that you were speeding? Maybe it was just unreasonable or noise, unnecessary noise. They can stop you for anything. They can investigate you for anything, but not necessarily lay charges. Zinnitak coming in from Kick, who says, why, hi, my friend, and then says Santa. I don't think there's a Santa. I had my beard long before. Maybe a Santa situation then. I don't think there's a Santa thing going on now, but you're entitled to twisting the beard dude. Mind you, I have played Santa before. I have put on the red suit. It just happened. What is this? Bad Cat 43 says police always ask if you had anything to drink. Need to say alcohol for assumption. So previously, previously, prior to mandatory alcohol screening coming into effect, I think it was 2018, you would say, have you had anything to drink? Because we want to smell your breath and we want to hear you tell me yes. So if you say yes, or I smell the alcohol, that gives me suspicion that you have some alcohol in your blood, meaning I can now measure it. That gives suspicion, reasonable suspicion. Thus, was the requirement to make a demand for a roadside screening device. No longer required because mandatory alcohol screening says I can do it for everybody. I can do it for every red car. I can do it for every third car. Whatever I put in my memo book at the beginning of my shift, that is happily creating the requirements for me to do it. I know a lot of coppers who say every single stop they make, they're going to make a demand, whether they smell it or not. It doesn't matter. Everyone gets tested and they catch tons of people. I was going to say something else, but I changed it halfway through the words. That's what happened. Okay, we got a Kayla who says, I use my Dexcom in split screen with Waze to shrink the window so it's just a little number added to your GIS. I'm assuming that means for your blood alcohol content. So apparently there are ways of having it on screen while you are driving. The GPS screen can be on while you're driving. That's the only screen you're allowed for always on. But putting it on, if there's an integration, that's really smart. Thank you, Akil. I appreciate that. That's cool. I'm gonna have to dig in a little deeper, but I love hearing about stuff like this. And I don't have a reason to know this anymore. In terms of I've never had diabetes, so I've never had a reason to wear a monitor and never had a reason to check. I was for a while checking my blood because I was told that I was borderline pre-diabetic, and then I lost 50 pounds recently, and my blood sugar is good, no longer an issue. But maybe that was part of the reason that motivated me to finally say, I don't want to be on medication. I don't want to take stuff and things to treat other stuff and things. So I just stopped eating sugar. It was very easy. Well, it wasn't easy, but the results were good, and overall, much better than drugs or medication. Tracy rightfully says they can stop you for anything. Pilance. What is Pilance? Milo, what? Okay. Bad Cat says just a pet peeve. Got it. Andy, can you explain the do not pass sign if you see it just before a pedestrian? Well, you're not allowed to pass another vehicle in a pedestrian crossover. That's the whole thing. And if you do it, you're violating the sign. Yeah. I don't think there's anything. And I imagine that's only utilized in a 2-lane road, but I could be wrong, and maybe Akila can qualify that because he knows things. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if you would just be disobey sign or if you would be looking at a specific charge. Let me see here. Boom, boom, boom. Gonna do a quick look up thing. I hate this space bar. It's not working, but got a new keyboard that's not. It's less clackety, which I like, but it's not as sensitive. Sign for no crossing. Really, spacebar. Come on. Here to crossing. With that, a specific charge. I'm asking ChatGPT because it's easier than reading a book at the moment. Or disobey sign. By the way, I love AI. It's great. You can't believe everything it says, but I do love the quick reference. And to verify, I'd say send me to the website to verify its information. Okay. So click Apple. What do we have here? HTA 182.2 disobey sign. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's disobey sign. That's what it looks like. This disobey sign, no pedestrian crossing. I'll have to verify that later, but that's what it's saying. And Tracy, here we go. Tracy was also going on to say, police can pull you over for anything, even just to check if you have a driver's license, insurance, and ownership. Yeah, they can. They can do it for also to ensure that your vehicle is safe for the roadway. Okay. Luke says, why are the super loud crackle mufflers allowed? They cause real problems. I agree, Luke. I hate the way they sound. They sound like the car is farting. And I don't think that's the look that the person was thinking it was going to do, but that's the only thing I can think when I see a Beamer or anything, Beamer or Lexus, and it's like you have gas. You had too much garlic. It's an allergic reaction. The car farts. It's stupid, I think. But whatever floats your boat. Unnecessary noise for sure. There's a potential from a discussion I had with a cop who races. And he says, "Well, you're putting too much. You're intentionally putting too much unspent or unburnt fuel in the exhaust. You're violating some. It used to be under the Environmental Protection Act. Now it's being wrapped into the HTA. But he says, I think we could go for bigger charges. But now there's vehicles that come like that. They've been because people like the way it sounds until they're like over 18 or 21. I don't know where the threshold is where you start hating noise. I've reached that point. Yeah, the deal is that you can get charged for unnecessary noise, and when you can tune it and make it louder, it's even sillier. Now there are folks who do that. They modify their muffler and they're ripping up and down the highways and they're just combining all. I would charge for all of the offenses. Okay, Akela's got to go. It's 11 o'clock, and he's got to show people his costume. He says, have a great day. Hope you, hey, could you clip the video and play it at the end for each show? Which one? Oh, the have a great day? It's a good idea. Let's see here. See what we got. Bunch of stuff popped into the screen. Updates. Is driving whilst wearing AirPods legal? It is legal. At least in Ontario. Not every single place allows it. BC, you can't cover both ears, but you can cover one, which is ridiculous. I don't know why. I mean, people say, well, you can't hear. You don't have to have hearing to drive a car. There's no hearing test when you get your license. Why on earth would that be a thing? So you can wear headphones both. Now, I will say for safety, transparency mode is a good thing, but there's nothing wrong with it. In Ontario, you can't get a ticket for it. Okay. Let's talk about. We talked about that. Darren, Sweet, and Bon, thanks for the follow. Albie says, can an officer give you a mobile device ticket if they never saw you on it? How would they give you a ticket if they didn't see it? I mean, here's the deal. If I pulled up to somebody and I saw this, you're in a car, the window's here, and I see this. Could you be sleeping? Oh, but then I see your fingers moving, and then I see emotional responses, or I see speaking. I would, and what I've done in the past is I pulled up to a car, I looked to my driver window, and I see a woman doing just that. Stopped at a red light, talking to her lap, and I said her lap isn't talking back. So I got out of my police car, and as soon as I stood up, I saw the FaceTime conversation she was having. In fact, the person having the FaceTime conversation told her, "Hey, there's a cop at your window," and then I gave her the ticket. Yeah, that's the thing. I hadn't thought of that in a long time. Andy wants to know if I read TikTok comments. I absolutely do, although sometimes they take a little longer to get to because I talk longer than you type. Like there's lots of questions, but I talk about each one for a while. Is it true there's changes coming to charges under the Canadian Criminal Code? That's from Tyler. About what? There's always changes. There's constantly changes. It's a living document. What changes are we talking about? Okay. How many times in a day do you ask drivers a vehicle to do you a favor? How many times in a day do you ask drivers a vehicle to do you a favor? Like what? You ask them for a cup of sugar? What are you asking drivers to do? That's from Half Day Sad. Don't know what you're talking about. Luke says they never do following too close blitz. They do lots speeding, not roadworthy trailers. Are you suggesting there's no enforcement? Oh, then it goes on to say, why not blitz? I never hear reports of following too close blitz. Okay. Because I don't think following too close is the highest priority. It's definitely a contributor to collisions. And I've got to go back and review the video, but I saved it on my dash camera. I drove through a country road with a woman 3 feet off my bumper the entire way. I slowed down, I sped up, annoying as all head out. And on top of everything else, she had no muffler, so it was really annoying for me to listen to them while watching them in my mirror. So I recorded them. This person was someone who should not drive at all, ever. Terrible. Anyway. KK25 says, hi, can I take a picture with a cop's car lights on? If you have a camera, what do you mean? Why couldn't you? I'm really not picking up what you're putting down. Okay. Oh, Tracy says we're expecting so much rain here on Halloween. By the way, is anyone getting mail again? Because I have to send something to Tracy that's been waiting for the mail strike to be over. Is the mail strike done? Is mail a thing again so I can put this in the mail? Ethan says, Sean, how's it going, man? Ethan, it's going good. Thanks for asking. Hope it's going good for you too. Okay. Andrew 2206. Is it Andrewel or Andrew I22? I don't know. Cop pulling, what is this? Cop pulling other guy, but visually spots two drivers on the other side racing, speeding. What happens? Depends on the cop. I let someone go with a warning for something minor and said, your lucky day, have a nice one. And I jumped in and I went after those guys. Depends. Depends on the cop. Yes. And Ethan, quite right. Deaf people can drive. Milan says, if you are parked and have a disability permit shown on your display, does the what? You got cut off. Oh. If you are parked and have a disability permit on your dashboard, can the cop bang on your window? The cop can bang on your window, regardless of the permit doesn't say don't bang on my window. What did the officer bang on the window? Oh, and ask for your driver's license. Yes, you're driving a motor vehicle, you're on the road, and they can make a demand to see your license, ownership, and insurance for any driver on the road. 100%. So, yes. And I'm scrolling forward to see if there was any more. There's no more. So yes, they can make a demand. You're on the road. You are subject to stop and to make sure they can also check to make sure that you legally have the permit. They want to make sure that your permit is in your name, because if you're using somebody else's permit, they can take the permit. Yeah. That's it. I want to know more now. Why do you want to know? What happened? Rumblefish says, if I drive with expired insurance, is it a fine or criminal? It is a charge under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act of Ontario. In Ontario. It comes with the magical minimum fine of $5,000 to $25,000. It's a fine range. So first conviction, $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 6 months in jail. So it's not criminal. However, you could find yourself in jail for it. And it might be the stupidest thing you ever do, because if you get into a collision and you're uninsured, guess who gets to pay the bill when you hurt someone or worse, kill them? You do. You get sued, potentially for millions, because that's what happens here. People sue you. And then when you say we're saving $800 or $1,000 or whatever it was for your insurance, even $10,000, not only will you be facility for the rest of your life, okay, maybe not the rest of your life, but for a very long time, where you could be paying $6,000 or $10,000 a year easily, you're also going to be paying off a $2 million, finding against you potentially after you've spent 6 months in. Well, it's rare that you get jail, but whatever it is, don't drive with no insurance. It's not worth it. Take a bus, take a train, take an airplane. Who knows the reference to that song? All right. Alex wants to know if it's legal to treat a traffic signal as a four-way stop in the night if it's safe to proceed. No, not in Ontario. There's dead red laws in other places, not in Ontario. That said, you do what you want. It's your risk. If you get pulled over, you were doing it in front of a copper and they charged you. If you get away with it, you might be okay. But why should you do it? Like you shouldn't do it. It is not the way. What do we got here? TikToker says, Sean, what question should I ask a cop when pulled over for speeding to ensure a fair trial? A fair trial means you ask questions in court, not at roadside. There's really nothing to ask at roadside. I mean, you're welcome to ask. depending on the cop, you might get answers, you might not. There's no obligation to provide any proof. There's no obligation to show you the machine. In fact, most will not if it's inside their car, if it's physically mounted in the vehicle. There's nothing to show because I'm not going to get you out of the car to go show you what's going on in my car. It's unsafe and I'm responsible for you. So you can ask, like, how fast was I going? Which then suggests on video that you didn't know how fast you were going. So by saying anything, you might be hurting yourself because that conversation is being recorded. So when you play it back in court, you may think you're getting great questions answered, but maybe not so good. Just saying. I'm not the ticket defense guy. I'm the ticket conviction guy. I'd like to see people held accountable for their actions as opposed to getting away with stuff they actually did. The real thing is don't speed, and you won't have to worry about these things. But what kind of fair trial? Like in court, you're going to ask them their qualifications. In court, you're going to ask them to explain what you saw and what you did, and they have to make their case. And then you have to bring in that reasonable doubt afterwards. Okay. Do you know what is this? Do you know when you first pull someone over whether or not you'll give them a ticket? That's from Rye. Okay, you want to know if I'm planning to charge someone when I pull them over? If they've broken the law, if I'm pulling them over 90% of the time or 99% of the time, it was to give them a ticket. Very rarely was it, let's go give them a warning. If I had a conversation and they were like, I'm taking responsibility, officer, I totally get it, I screwed up, then I might back down from giving a ticket. Maybe I choose not to, but I don't pull people, or I didn't pull people over to warn them. I pulled people over to charge them. What happened next was up to them. Titans News Today says, what time should I usually turn on my headlights? It's not a time thing. It's 30 minutes before the sun goes down, or you turn them off 30 minutes before the sun goes down. Yeah, that's when you have to do it. You have to have your lights on for that reason, for that time. Titans News Today says, because I've been pulled over while still very bright out for not having my headlights on. Yes, I believe it's 30 minutes before sunset. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm correct on the 30 minutes. And it's not just sunset. It's inclement weather. It's okay. Confirming half an hour before sunset until half an hour after sunrise. I was right. And then you must also have them on whenever you cannot see clearly for at least 150 meters, which is about a half a block ahead in fog, rain, snow, smoke, or dust. There you go. Oh, vindicated. Not okay. What do we have here? Boop-a-doo. When I get pulled over, how fast do I reach for my wallet and point at it? Don't reach for anything. Wait. When the officer gets there and says, I didn't want to startle you rumbling around my car, rummaging around my car. My wallet is over there. Do you mind if I grab it? That is the appropriate way to do this. Because oddly enough, police officers, regardless of what country they're in, tend to get a little strange about you digging around the car. Tian says, I noticed the speed display sign, one that shows you your current speed in Newmarket, is wrong, going 30, but it shows 50 plus. Who should I contact? I don't see. I'd say 311 in Toronto, but in who would you do it? Who would be Newmarket? I don't actually know. You could probably call it Town of Newmarket. They probably have that being handled by their people at the city. That said, was there no other vehicle? Because even though you're the one seeing it doing 30, it's based on the largest, fastest vehicle because there's radar. So it could be a vehicle behind you that it's displaying. So I'd want to watch that for a little while and yeah, they can make sure. Mind you, maybe they're because it doesn't have anything to do with enforcement. It's just telling you to slow down. Maybe it's they're purposefully telling you the wrong speed to get people to slow down. Oh my God, I'm doing 50. No, sure. Maybe it's that. Why is the color green the only color allowed for underglow on a car? Seems kind of random. Because red is prohibited in certain directions, because white is prohibited in certain directions, because orange is prohibited. Well, actually, orange is like the only one it's not, or amber. In fact, green is prohibited. I don't know why why you think green is okay. Green, you can't project green in all directions. It's reserved for volunteer fire and medics So you can't have it leaning. So let's take it back. You can have any color underglow when you're not on the roadway driving. You can have any color projected only down and not to the front or sides, not to the back. You can only project red to the back along with amber for your look. Look at the lights that come with your vehicle. You can have amber signals and you can have brake lights, red. Those are the two legal colors for the rear. The only white light that can be on the rear of your vehicle, and it must be white, is your license plate light, which is only 3 candela of power. To the front of your vehicle, you can have white or amber. That's it. Anything else is illegal. Now, underglow, if you have the bulbs visible and you're projecting light other than white or amber to the front and other than red and amber to the rear, you're breaking the law. You can be charged. If your vehicle's underglow is tucked up so far under the vehicle that it's only reflected off the ground, you see true underglow. Doesn't matter what color it is, as long as it's not flashing red or flashing blue, and blue and red are, by the way, prohibited when you're going 360. So anyway, that's the crux of it. Green still is reserved. Flashing green is volunteer fire. There's all sorts of restricted uses. There you go. But green is probably less offensive than many other colors. I just wouldn't do it anymore. I don't think it's cool to have underglow. Used to be, not the 90s anymore. TikToker says, Sean, you aren't answering TikTok comments, except I have absolutely been answering TikTok comments. And thank you, Tracy. Thank you. I appreciate you. Who jumped in and immediately told him that I'm there. I'm doing it. And Alex said, thanks, Tracy. You are appreciated. Yes, you are appreciated, Tracy. Thank you. Oh, Alex Katina says, I crashed my car yesterday. I hope you're okay. And Tracy asked the same question. Tracy's a moderator, by the way. Thank you, Tracy, for all that you do. TikToker says, is it illegal to drive with headphones? And I'm assuming is it illegal to touch? Hang on. Is it illegal to drive with headphones and assuming I don't touch my phone? So we talked about that earlier. It's not illegal. Oh, Alex says, Alex is saying that he was recklessly driving and he regrets driving fast. That was when he crashed his car. I'd like to know more about your crash. That's very interesting. But I mean, regardless of the fact that you're taking responsibility, which I appreciate, people who say that driving fast is not dangerous, doesn't cause collisions, kind of does. They're kind of wrong. What do we got here? Gotcha. Oh, you're very welcome, Titans News today. I appreciate Akela. He threw a dad joke in there. If you got a dad joke, drop it in the comments. Oh, and Tian says that the issue with that camera that's improperly reporting speed, it's when he was the one driving and he was alone and it still gave him wrong. I would totally contact Newmarket and City, and at very least, if they have an information line, call them. I don't think it would be police related. Okay, Mama Bear says, can I make a left turn from one-way street to another on a red light? One-way street to another one-way street. It is legal in Ontario to make a left turn on a red from a one-way street to another one-way street, assuming there's no sign prohibiting it and that there is it's safe to proceed. That's the thing. But it's different in different provinces, but that is absolutely legal here. I don't have that many one-way streets to one-way streets opportunities, but if you got them, fill your boots. What do we got here? Don't Cry says, your reverse lights are white while you're reversing. So, yes, in those situations, but they're not illuminated while you're operating the car in normal conditions, only when you're reversing. So, yes, you are correct. Reverse lights are white, but they're not illuminated. And if they were while you were driving forward, you get a ticket for it. Is it illegal to drive without winter tires during a lot of snow? That's I can't pronounce your name. It's not illegal in Ontario, but it would be illegal in Quebec where it's required by law. So it depends. What? Exclamation mark dude says, I don't know, you got an M for a username. Says laws only apply to people with money. I don't agree with that at all. Let's see here. If you get dash cam footage of people doing illegal stuff like running stop signs, can you report them? Yes, you can. You can report them. Will they get charged? Not necessarily. If they can identify the name, date, time, like name driver, um, license plate, all the information required to lay a charge, then possibly they could. And then the person who took the video would have to go and testify against them. But you can certainly report them if you have enough information, and the registered owner of the vehicle will likely get a letter saying, "Hey, y'all got witness doing dumb stuff in a particular location. You should tell people who were driving that car at the time not to do it anymore." That's kind of thing. All right, scrolling back, 'cause I see some. Oh, wait, there's lots more information here. What do we hear? Did you hit another car? Did you get charged? Dangerous operation is. Oh, you got charged with dangerous operation, which is criminal, by the way, and street racing, which is under the stunt. Okay, Venom 74, thanks for the follow. Once upon a time, thanks for the follow. Luke also appreciate it. Andy clarifying to Mama Bear that it's the only instance is after you make a complete stop, then you can turn left on a red. But yeah, any left or right on red requires a full stop. And if I didn't say that earlier, then my slip up. Yeah, you have to come to a stop. Red light still means stop. Proceeding after the stop is when it's safe to do so, assuming there's no signs prohibiting it. And in this situation, anyway, Andy gets a thank you for that. Alex says, "Can I pass a bus with its lights on if I'm going perpendicular to it?" Well, you're not passing it, are you? You're driving perpendicular to it. You're driving in front of it, not passing. You can't overtake or pass in either direction. Okay. Ooh, you were doing 188 kilometers on first impact? What were you driving? I say, or what was it? Because I don't think that car survived the collision. But yeah, as someone already said in the chat, you might want to get a lawyer. Sean D. Harvey says, "What do you think about the government amending the law to put citizenship status on a driver's license?" That's an Alberta specific thing. I don't think that's happening in every jurisdiction. But I don't know how much of a difference it really makes. I don't know. Like, could it be helpful? Maybe, but it's not something that's happening in Ontario that I'm aware of. In any case, what is the issue with it? Like, I've pulled people over, and they were driving with New York plates, and they had a New York license. I knew that they were not from here. I then checked, and they were deported as a result of it because they were on overstay. They were here way too long. Their visa had run out. That's when police are doing stuff in relation to that. I charged a driver who was driving a Florida registered vehicle that was not a Florida driver. They got charged, and the vehicle got seized by the RCMP because they didn't pay taxes to bring it into the country. So, would it change if they were citizens or not citizens? I don't know if it would make a big difference. I mean, because the stuff that I was involved in still worked without it. So I wouldn't be like jumping up and down either way. I don't think it's offensive to know what someone's status is, and I don't think it's important either. Can you get a ticket for eating or drinking water? I've never. Oh, eating food or drinking water. I've heard this some time ago back, but I'm not sure. So that's from Cowie Cosmo. In Alberta, my understanding is you can be charged, and if not Alberta, maybe it was BC. But so it could be distracted driving. There could be impaired driving, not impaired. Sorry, distracted driving, or it could be careless. Here, it could be careless, but it's not. It's not distracted to eat or drink food. So picture this: if I was drinking from the giant, big water bottle, and I was trying to drink it, and in order to get the last drop, I'm looking straight up in the ceiling, and I drive into a tree. It's careless driving. Yeah. Or if I can't see the road, or if I'm weaving all over the place, if it interferes with your ability to clearly or safely operate your motor vehicle, then you can be charged. Yeah. Dr. Jacques says, "You retire?" And yes, I retired from policing over a year ago now. I left the police in September of 2024. I can't believe how long it's been. It's wild. No. Let's see here. Luke says the tailgate tickets are not okay. It kills. Luke says the tailgate tickets are not enforced and it kills more than speeding. I don't know if it kills more than speeding. It certainly contributes to collisions. But let's see here. We talked about that. I'm assuming if you have someone pulled over, take a picture in the mirror. That's Riley making the assumption. Let's see here. Oh, mail. Okay, mail seems to be back in action with Tracy. It's good to know. I can throw something in the mail now. We talked about this. Alex wants to know, where else is he live? I am live on. Okay, where? I got a long list now. So the long list includes. We've got. I'll read the list. It's X, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're on Voice Over Copy on Twitch. We're on Kick. However, Rumble didn't work because I wasn't verified. So I can do the verification now, which is a little late. But hang on, what happens if I press this? I don't want to screw anything up. We'll verify afterwards. What is that for? Hang on. I will do that. Oh, I have to reconnect. Okay. Will I break anything? We're going to try it anyway. Okay, I'm totally distracted. Come on. I have a keyboard that turns off. There we go. It bugs me. I want it to be on all the time, but it times out. There we go. Stand by. Here we go. Well, apparently, that's cool. I can verify. It just needed to verify something. Stand by. Validate. Congratulations. I've been verified. Okay. Now go back here. Reconnect. You get to see this live as we see if we can get Rumble working. I thought I verified it. Anyway, we'll find out later. At least I did half of it. We'll fix it. We'll fix it after. Close this window. Hey, we got Jakey. I've answered your question a couple of times, but Jakey didn't notice them. And Rare North TV also asked this question. So perpendicular. Oh, you're asking on all platforms, man. Here we go. That's the question, and the answer is, it's about passing from behind the bus past the bus, or from in front of the bus to pass that way. So you can't pass the bus, but perpendicular isn't covered. So yes, you can. Obviously, be safe because kids do the darndest things. Nicholas Rizzi, who is a comedian, literally, he says, he's got to lay off the weed while watching your videos. I was staring at a weird patch of hair in the middle of your head. It was really bothering me. Turns out it was a crumb of cookie while I was eating in Atlanta. That's good to know, because I started wondering, like, where's the weird patch of hair on my head? Okay. I had a video that I'm like, what's on my lens? Then I reached up and there was like a speck of something on my screen. So yes, it happens to the best of us, but I don't do the weed thing. It's always fun to get the where can I put this here? I wonder if we've already dealt with him. No. Where's my I was trying to get, there's somebody, I like the people who put really silly comments in that are either racist or other forms of hate, because then I just get to block them from the future videos. Okay, let's go here. Boom, boom, boom. Blue Jays new? No, that's from Jack. Did the Blue Jays not win? I didn't watch. I was sleeping, probably, possibly, maybe. Actually, I was at dinner when they started playing. Why was I at fault? Because someone tried to pass me in a turning lane and he ended up sideswiping me. Ale says, if my plate registration is expired and I get into a collision, will my insurance deny your claim? Could be. If your plate registration is expired, it means you're not lawfully on the road, and you have to be lawful in order to be operating on the road. So they may or may not. It's up to them. Okay, can I get a ticket for lowering my car? Yes, if it's unsafely lowered, if it's unsafe and not legal for the road because you lowered it unsafely to an unsafe level. And if you lower it, you could also be denied a claim in your insurance because it's not safe. You modify your vehicle, you better let your insurance company know, otherwise you might get screwed. Okay, on a motorcycle at night, can I go through a red light if the light hasn't cycled extended period of time? Not lawful. If there's no legal red dead law in Ontario, you make your own decision. I would suggest a right turn on red that is legal and a U-turn when it's safe, which is legal, and that's the way to do it. Why is it okay for a cop to ticket you for not wearing a seatbelt? It should be a choice, but it's not a choice. Wear a seatbelt. The best chance of keeping you in a vehicle in the event of a collision so you don't get dead. Yeah. Still the best choice. Oh, Leo's a nice guy. I don't know if you can see it, but everyone should tell Leo to fly a kite. Let's see here. Can I pass a bus with its lights on if I'm going? Boy, you're really, Alex, spamming. Let's see here. If we get into a collision, then it's our fault for not wearing one. Yeah, that's the seatbelt argument. No, it's the law. Guess what? You're on. Well, it depends on where you are. Some places may not care, but in Ontario, we pay for your health care, like everybody collectively. We don't want to pay for that. Also, it helps keep you in the car in the event that worse things happen, so that you don't traumatize everybody else when you get thrown down the street and some kid walking their dog finds you in pieces. It's not good. Not a good look. We talked about this. Is it legal to? We talked about that. Oh, apparently they don't mean to spam, but there's some glitch on their end that's sending the message 100 times. It's happening to other people, so it's entirely possible that it's a problem. Okay. Boo, boo, boo. Pet peeves. Do you have any weapons? Anything used indictable offense? Pet peeves. Do you have any weapons? I think it's reasonable if they're planning to search you and they're trying to evaluate you based on your answers to determine whether or not it is it is something they're it's an evaluation. I get that you don't like the question, but it's part of the dialogue to figure out who you are and whether or not I have to have my concerns. Tim says out in Trenton, I have a sign display of speeding flashes like a police car works. Ooh, interesting. So when it trips, it makes the lights flash, and then people slow down even though there's no police car. What a cool idea! I like that. If you got any video of that, I would love to see it, and you can send it to voiceovercop@gmail. I would love to see that. I got to take a call in 5 minutes, which means I got to wrap in 5 minutes. So we're going to try and spin out of control and get through everything here. Space management is the key to staying safe. That's also from Tim. I like that. Where is it? Okay. Can I pass? Tinted license plate cover. Am I going to get pulled over every time I get one? Yeah, don't get it. It's absolutely, even clear ones are not legal. Plate frames aren't legal, but tinted ones are absolutely illegal. And Tracy, yes, I remember you telling me when you got pulled over for that, Tracy. Is it illegal to turn right on a red in Montreal? Montreal has a special rule on the island of Montreal as you enter the signage that says you cannot turn right on red. So it's not legal in Montreal. Jackson Ford followed me. Thank you very much. And Loco Chile also shared the live. I appreciate that. I do. It's much appreciated. Okay. Can I pass? No, we don't. My God. Is it legal to reverse without a seatbelt on? Actually, it is, Bad Cat. It's one of the few exemptions to seatbelt use when you're reversing. The appropriate way to reverse is to be up off the seat. And that's one of the few times you can take your seatbelt off. What is the difference between a tinted plate and an alter plate and a fictitious plate? I think you're making the point about the okay. So if you alter a plate, it's actually arrestable. A fictitious plate is no plate, and a tinted plate is an obscured plate. That's the legal differences. Yeah, but they're all not they're all illegal. Various differences to the charges, but like again, the altered plate is one that you can be arrested for. Tinted plate's just $110 fine. Oh, plate cover. What is this? I got pulled over for a sideways plate on my bumper by OPP, and rightfully so, because your license plate has to be horizontally mounted as intended. There's a regulation that stipulates exactly how it has to be mounted. Having it vertical or rotated so it's portrait style as opposed to landscape, that would be against the law. Motorcyclists do it all the time. It's not legal. I've never had a real issue with it. But it's not legal. I wonder if it has an issue with the plate scanners now. That might be a reason why it's being enforced more. I've never actually laid the charge, even though I know it's not like that's against the law. What personal identifiable information does a license plate check reveal? That's from Toby. It's tombstone information, name, date of birth. If the vehicle owner, the registered vehicle owner, has anything related to law enforcement, whether it means priors or suspended status of, like, it'll notify us of change in status. So if the person's suspended, it'll flash and say that. A lot of that has to be subsequent searches to get more information. Okay. What do we got here? What about tinted windows? What would you like to know? You can have tinted windows, but they can't be more than 30% light blockage. If they have 70% of the visible light transmission VLT to be safe for the road, but and even with 20%, if I can't see you as the officer, if I'm looking into your car and I can't see you, can't identify you, it's against the law. You're obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle with a color or reflective coating. And it can't be reflective because you can't see it. How important is community volunteer hours when applying to the force? Huge. Not just hours, but the fact that you have a commitment to your community. NC Rider 72 says, I ran a stoplight. Turns out I had an illegal muffler. Who knew? Most mufflers that are loud and obnoxious are illegal. If safe to do so, what's this comment? If safe to do so, can you pass a school bus that is stopping for a railway crossing? There's no passing on a railway crossing. That is never safe to do. Most people have tints in their front windshield. Is it really illegal? Super illegal. That's unsafe. That's take your license plate away and you walk home. Well, actually, I've had people. It's unsafe, so you lose your license plates to get towed, or I've had people pull it off the windshield. Like nothing's allowed on the windshield anymore. Oh, very cool. Thank you. Tracy, because I can only see it because it's coming through the website, I think. Okay, Kylie, is it Kylie? I think it's Kylie. Speed limit on highway is 100 kilometers an hour, but why does all cars do 110 to 120? Because we're not doing enough enforcement. If we were charging vehicles for doing 120, they would go slower. But since there's very little enforcement in that speed range, people just do it. They think that's the acceptable amount. You ask the average driver, and they tell you that 20 is okay. But I see people doing 30 and 40 over, and that's where police tend to focus their efforts because they've sort of given up on 110, 120, which is wrong. I tell coppers when I do presentations and just have coaching sessions, I say, you should, even if you want to go after the big ticket stunt drivers, even if you want to do the stunt drivers and take the really dangerous people off the road, once in a while, throw a bone. Give the speeding tickets to the lesser speeder, because everyone needs to have that conversation at dinner saying, I can't believe it, but Bob got a ticket for 10 over. Yeah, because it's illegal. It's unsafe. And if you ticket that one person for 10 over, 10 times the people will hear about it than the stunt driving one. I mean, the stunt driving one's going to hear because Buddy lost his car and he's taking the bus for the first time in 20 years or 10 years. Sometimes he's had a license for 10 seconds, but whatever. Okay, got to scroll through real quick because I got to get off the air. How likely is a speeding ticket from 30 to 39? If I was doing enforcement in a school zone that's 30, I'd do a ticket for 39, no problem. Oh, how likely is a speeding ticket from 30 to 39 get dropped or lowered when fighting? Are you saying that you did 39 over? I'm not sure what you're asking. I thought rear windows aren't regulated for tint. Rear windows aren't. Front windows are. Was the question? Did I misread it earlier? Yeah, rear windows aren't regulated. It's the windows left and right of the driver and the windshield. Glenn says, hey, from Newfoundland. And how are you doing down on the rock? Okay, my tractor trailer has a speed limit of 100 max. I have no problem with that. I thought it was 105. Kylie says, thanks. You're very welcome. GXXR says new luxury vehicles come with reflective windshield tint. Is that illegal? My understanding is that treatment is on the inside of the glass. It's part of the glass, not an aftermarket coating, and which is apparently getting through the requirements. If you put that on yourself afterwards, it would be illegal. Okay. Can you drive with slippers on? You can. A lot of people will have that question. My sticky says, awesome, Sean. What a great show. Thank you very much. Glad you like it. And we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. to do it again. And I'm going to, oh my goodness, an hour and 40 minutes. I went way over time, which I do almost all the time. Michael says, did you stay up to watch the Jays last night? No, I did not. I was out. Some of the guys at the table I was at were watching the game, but I was not participating in the watching. I've not been following any of this stuff. It's just not on my list of things to do. I love it. I hope they win, but I'm not watching the game. I hear about it in the news later, and it works for me. Frank D. I love it that I get bot questions on Kick. Like, that's one thing I miss, is someone trying to sell me followers, which is what happens whenever I'm on Kick. I miss that. Not really. Let's see here. Speed camera Blue Jays question. Okay. How far up do I have to go to get that? Let's see here. He says that I don't even see that. Okay. Tian says, no tints on windshield. Yes. What is this? Oh, trying to sell me something. All right, go back here. There's a dad joke. Where is it? From Michaela. Oh, Jays 5, LA Dodgers 6. The game started at 8 p.m. and ended at 3 a.m. Oh, yeah. No, I was asleep at midnight. I still got up at 6, which is 3 hours after the game. Ugh, terrible. Was that a time zone thing? Is that why it was so late? Okay. I read that one. And there was one dad joke from Michaela before he left, wasn't there? Yes, it is. Oh, and a quote. Oh, here's another dad joke. All right, 3-pin. Let's do it. What's a tree's least favorite month? September. And, yeah. Quote from Michaela. Too much of a good thing is wonderful. Mae West. That's why we do the shows for so long. It's a good thing. And then Michaela finally says, I hope this is good. A woman shouted at her boyfriend, I'm sick of you always acting like a detective. I want to split up. The man's eyes grew wide. Great idea, he exclaimed. We can cover more ground that way. Excellent. I love detective dad jokes ish. I guess it's not a dad joke, but it was still dad joke-esque. Listen, I got to go. It's been a slice. I'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. to do this all over again. If you got questions before then, feel free to reach out. You can go to askatrafficcop.ca. You can send me voicemail, which a number of people have been doing this week. It's great to get voicemail because I can send you back a voicemail, and we could use that segment as part of the show. And that's it. That's all. Have a great day. Drive safe, drive sober, and smile, because it really makes a difference. You wouldn't believe how powerful a smile is. Have a great day.